and welcome back to the channel. This is the second episode in our long series regarding how to set up WordPress, PeepSo and Gecko Theme. In the first episode, we installed WordPress, installed PeepSo, and then installed and set up the entire Gecko theme to display something similar that you see on your screens right now. In this episode, we're going to focus on the general appearance, accounts and security settings, as well as reporting here in the manage reported items options. There's a lot to cover in here, and I need to break down these episodes so they will be easier to follow. Otherwise, these videos will be like 4 or 5 hours long, and we don't want that, right? So the first thing that we are going to focus on is explaining all of the options in the general settings, appearance settings, and accounts and security. And then we will move on in the future episode. We'll move to stream posts and all the other options that we have here. Right? There's a lot to cover, so let's move on with it, shall we? Once you have PeepSo installed, it is mostly ready to go on without ever touching any additional settings. So everything will work out of the box, but we strongly encourage you to go through the settings and see what possibilities you have, because not all options are enabled by default. So let's go to WordPress dashboard and then switch to PeepSo configuration, and here in General tab you will see that first option that you have available, it's not even enabled, and that is the hide the activity stream from guests. And you cannot see any change unless you see your website as a guest user. I mean, when you enable this option, in order to see the change, you must be the guest or not logged in user. And if you remember, in our previous episode, we configured the Gecko theme to show landing page. So whatever you enable here in this option, you will not see it because of our current setup. So let's quickly disable the landing page by going to Gecko, then settings. And I'm going to disable redirect guests to the page that we have created. All right. Now, when I visit my website as an unregistered user, I will see my home page, and in it I can also see the activity stream. All right. But now, if I go to the PeepSo configuration and then hide the activity stream from guests and enable this option, save the settings. Let's refresh this page now. And now the activity stream won't be shown to the guest when they visit the website on the front page. Now, while this option sounds interesting and it's easy way to hide the activity stream from the guest or not logged in users, you need to be careful, because now you're actively hidden the activity stream from everyone, and that includes crawlers and third-party APIs like Facebook debugger, Facebook share APIs, Twitter share APIs and stuff like that. What I'm saying is, if you go to the sharing debugger here, and let's try to share, let's see this post, for example. I'm going to click to copy the link to it, and if I open that link while I'm logged in as a user, I will be able to see this activity stream because I am logged in. Right? But if I try to share this post to Facebook, and let's debug, this URL hasn't been shared on Facebook before. Let's fetch new information. and Facebook will see it like this. So it will not be able to access any data on this specific activity stream, and it will not load anything, right? So this particular option is a double-edged sword, right? So you're basically hiding the activity stream from the guests, not logged in users, but you're also hiding the activity stream from crawlers and third-party APIs. So use it with caution. Now, these next two options will allow you to control whether or not avatar and cover change will create an activity stream. Enable post updates upon user avatar change and enable post updates upon user cover change. That simply means when user changes avatar on cover, the activity stream will be created. So let's do just that. Let's use this avatar. And let's change the cover to this. Reposition it a little, save, go back to community, and now you'll see that admin has uploaded a new profile cover and uploaded a new avatar. Activity stream items have been created. And that is simple because we have these two options enabled over here. And my personal preference is to keep these two options disabled. Let me quickly just save the settings, and now I'll explain why. Depending on how active your community is and how many users you have, there's a serious possibility that your activity stream will be flooded with this type of posts. So user X changed the avatar, user Y changed the cover and stuff like that. And you actually want to see some real content in your activity stream, not when someone changed the avatar or profile cover. Of course, you can keep these two options enabled if you want. You will see how they work on your website. Like I said, it all depends on how active it is and how often your users will change the avatar and cover. But my personal preference is to keep this type of posts disabled. So I will keep them disabled in this tutorial website, but it's all up to you whether or not you want to keep them on. Now let's scroll a little bit down to find the post options. And in order to understand these options, I first need to explain what the post is. And in PeepSo, every single activity stream item is the post. So whether it's created automatically, like these two posts when we change the avatar and cover, or we create the post manually, this is the post, and it can be any post type: post, text post, photo, audio, and so on. Let's make a post. This is the new post, right? So every single activity stream item is a single post in PeepSo. That being said, you have certain amount of control how will this post look. And the first of them is to display the number of comments. To explain this easier, I'm going to add some comments as their numbers, like this. So this is the first comment. This is the second comment, third comment, and so on. I will be back when I add more comments. Okay, so I added 15 comments to this post, and as you can see, it's only showing the last two. And that is because in the comments here in PeepSo, then Configuration General, in comments we have two of them to display. We can set 1 or any other number, and even 0 to not display any. And we have an option to load more comments. So by default, they are displaying comments 2, and when someone press on load more, it will add 5 more. This is exactly what it's showing here. It's displaying 2, and we can add more and more comments. So let's change that to, let's say, 1, and when I load more, it loads 2 more. Save the settings. Go back to the front end, refresh the page. So it's now displaying only 1 comment, as we said, and load more will display 2 more comments. Okay? The same thing will apply for pinned post comments. Excuse my English, it is not my first language, so it's pinned post comments. Okay? Now read more. Read more is referring to the number of characters that is going to be shown in the post itself before it's reduced to read more link. All right, so to show this properly, I need to reduce this number to, let's say, just 10 characters. Okay, and save the settings. Now when I go to the post, let's calculate it together. So 1, 2, 3, 4. White space is also a character, so it's going to be 5, 6, 7, white space again, 8, 9, 10. So at this point, the post will be cut off and the read more option will show, because we said show the read more after 10 characters, right? Let's refresh the page. And there it is. You can, of course, click on read more to show the rest of it. Now let's come back to the settings and redirect to single post view when post is longer than n characters. All right, so I'm going to reduce this even more to 5 and redirect to single post when post is longer than n characters. Okay? Only 7 characters I put in my settings. Refresh the page, and now, because the entire post is longer than 7 characters, when I press on read more, it is going to open in a new page and on a single post. All right? I hope that made sense. So let's revert these settings back to their original values, which is 1000 and 2000, and scroll. Actually, first save the settings, and now scroll until we find enabled save posts. I deliberately skipped this option because we have the entire feature highlight video devoted to this post option, saved posts, and I'm going to link that video in the description below. Okay, next setting on this page or set of settings is reporting the content on your website. So by default, this option is enabled automatically, and you don't have to touch anything in order for users to be able to report the content. And this is how it works. Because you cannot really report your own content, there is no option to report it. We need to test this with the other user. And I have the Alice over here, which is just a regular user. And she can press on these 3 dots over here and report this post. Now she can select the reason and make a description and submit her report. Okay, this particular post is now reported to the admin, and you can configure that you receive the email alerts whenever someone creates a new report. All the community administrators will receive email about new report, and you can add additional recipients even if you want to receive the email notification when someone reports a post on some emails different than your registered email on the website. I'm going to disable this option because I'm hosting my site on the local host and I cannot send out email alerts. You can see that our Alice, the user that has made a report, had some option to choose the reason, like spamming, advertising, profanity, okay? And you can predefine this reason in the predefined report reasons, so you can make your own if you want. Or delete the ones you don't need. Let's save the settings, check the website with Alice again. Let's try to report this post. Wait for the activity stream to load. And now select the reason. We remove one and create our own, right? Okay, submit this report. Now, what happens with submitted posts? Actually submitted reports for the bad content. They all end up here in manage and reported items. We will come back to this later in this video. Let's come back to the PeepSo configuration. The General tab will be open automatically. And the last option in the reporting that I didn't mention is automatically unpublish posts after n number of reports. So if a single post have, let's say, 10 reports, the post will be unpublished automatically. If you wish to use that option, you can. I don't like it. It's a personal preference, so it's there as an option, so you can use it. And lastly, the word filter. The word filter is simply a very basic system that will prevent people from making posts with bad words. And those bad words will be filtered in the stream. Because I cannot use the obvious bad words in this video because YouTube algorithm don't like it, I will pretend that, let's say, skate and road and shoes are the bad words on my website, okay? Just bear with me. All right, so you see how I separated them with a comma? Okay, let's now save the settings and try to make a new post with skate on the road in new shoes. All right, so all of these words are now bleeped out, right? So you cannot see them, and this is basically a purpose of the word filter. It used to be a separate plugin, but now it's part of the free foundation, and we have the entire feature highlight video regarding this feature, so I strongly recommend to go and watch that to learn more about how this feature works, right? I will leave the link to that video in the description below as well. Now let's switch to the Appearance tab and see what are the options available there. We also touched upon some options previously in the video where we set up the Gecko theme and PeepSo to work together. For example, we disabled PeepSo navigation bar. This option will be disabled. Actually, this is double negative. So disable PeepSo. We need to enable to disable it, right? So we touched that option and a few more. So I'm going to skip them in this video. And first of the options you have are the display name style. We're gonna use the full name You can also use the first name plus last name initial, and even the username, and you can allow the users to override this setting. All right, so let's switch it to full name, as I said that we are going to use it, and allow users to override this setting. Let's save it. And now when I go to the profile, in the About section, then Account, or is it in Preferences, display my name as full name, first name, and this is simply because we allow the users to override that setting. If we disable that option, display my name as in the profile will not be available. So you can decide how you want to do that. Do you want to allow the profiles to be deleted? If you enable this option, user will be able to delete their profiles. Profile likes enabled simply means that we allow liking other profiles. So if I go to the other profile, I can like the profile. If I disable that option and save the settings, let's refresh the page, there is no like option right now. Let's enable it back. Now, always link to PeepSo profile and use PeepSo names everywhere is a global feature that when you have, for example, if you have a third-party plugin installed, let's say a forum, and that forum is displaying a PeepSo, or user avatar or user profile, and if you enable this option, it will automatically try to display PeepSo profile if everything is coded to in third party, if everything is coded to the WordPress standards, it will always link to PeepSo profile, right? So if you have, for example, forum that is displaying a profile of the user that is creating a post, enabling this option will link to their profile. Likewise, always use PeepSo names everywhere. We will try to use the PeepSo names that you choose in every third-party instance, as long as they displaying the names based on the WordPress standards. Let's save these settings. Now, hide profile completeness if no required fields are missing. All right, so this is a little bit it's not complicated, but there is a lot to explain. So to do that, we need to go to the Manage menu and then choose Profile Fields. Once you are here, you can create an unlimited number of different profile fields. And we have the entire video explaining how to do that. But for the purposes of this one, I'm just going to show you that every profile field can become required. All right. So in Validation tab, you can enable the field to become required. And that simply means that user will have to populate those fields when they want to complete their profile fields. So their profile. You see, my admin profile is only 33% complete. And if I click on there, I will see that all of this last name, gender, birth date, all of this are required field. I can change, let's say, gender and say not to be required. And when I refresh this page, now this field is not required anymore. All right, so let's complete my profile so we can see how this option is going to affect it. All right, admin, what is my last name? Let's say Williams. My first name is going to be Mark. That's not my name, really. All right, and what is your birth date? Let's say April, let's say this date, and save. And now you still see that profile calculation is displayed, but I don't have any more required fields. So I can simply hide the profile completeness if no required fields are missing. And because no required fields are missing anymore, let's save the settings. Now I don't see the profile completeness anymore. My profile is complete, but it doesn't matter if I have missing fields, they are not required and profile completeness will not be shown. Okay, let's see the avatars configuration. Use WordPress avatars. Enable this option if you really want to use WordPress avatars. I'm not sure why would you when you have a completely functional avatar system in PeepSo, but there's an option for that. And use PeepSo avatars everywhere is similar to use PeepSo names everywhere. So I will come back to the forum example, which is not PeepSo, but if it uses the WordPress native functions to display avatars, it will use PeepSo avatar. So enable this. And if you want to allow Gravatar avatars, you can enable it right here. Don't forget to save the settings after each configuration change. Default avatars to be generated by namebase are enabled by default. And you can see that at the beginning of this video where I had this type of avatar. It simply displays the first characters of your name as the dynamic image, which you can even configure to be displayed like this, for example, or very dark and very light font color. You can grayscale the background, so let's call it medium. You see, there's a lot of options that you can choose from to display default avatars. Always use full covers. You can enable this option to always use the full covers like this. And in some situation, covers might be displayed in half of their size to reduce and to save on space. And if you want to force the display of the full cover like this, you can enable this option over here. You can also display the VIP icons next to the username. And you can choose how many icons to show and even show more indicator if you wish. We have the entire video dedicated to this feature, so please go take a look at our feature highlights playlist. It will be linked in the description below. And finally, the profile details. You can choose what profile details to show right here. So for example, I can choose to display the member since to the site members or public, and let's save the settings. Now when I refresh the page, you see how the member since this date is showing up. Then I can choose to display to the site members when this user was last seen online, how many friends, followers, and following, and even the profile views this user have. So let's save all of the settings, refresh the page, and all of the settings will be, all of the information that we set in the settings will be displayed in this area over here. Now let's switch to the right side of the settings, and color scheme, because we are using the Gecko theme for this website, is controlled by the Gecko theme. But if you don't have Gecko theme, let's quickly change our theme to something else. Appearance, themes, and let's say you decided to use whatever other theme for whatever reason. Activate it. Now go to PeepSo, configuration, appearance. You will have the option to choose the light or dark color scheme for PeepSo, right? But because we want to use the Gecko theme, as our site will look nothing like our demo, it will look like this, and we don't want that. Let's go back to the appearance themes and enable the PeepSo theme Gecko child. Let's come back to the configuration, then appearance. Disable PeepSo navigation bar, we already touched that option previously. Use absolute dates. And absolute dates refer to the dates in the activity stream and probably somewhere else. And you see how this 1 hour ago, it's saying me that I created this comment 1 hour ago. And this is because we are not using absolute dates. All right. So let's say I want to use absolute date to always and save the settings. Now when I refresh the page, it will show me the actual time of the date when the post has been created. And this is the server time. All right. So if you're in a different time zone compared to the time zone of the server, the user will see the different time, right? Because the server time will be in effect. Okay, so I can also choose if I want to use absolute dates if post is older than 1 day, 2 days, a week, 2 weeks, and so on. Let's say never, and our dates in the post will always show like an hour ago, 2 weeks ago, 3 months ago, 3 years ago, and stuff like that. These options are useful for if your site is not on English, and different languages use the different kind of formatting. So sometimes it's better to display a date, an actual date where something is posted, rather than saying this post is created 7 years ago, because that part 7 years ago can give problems for different in different languages, and different grammar is not suited for that kind of format, right? I'm talking this from experience because I did the Serbian translation, and trust me, it's not working. All right, so you have that option over there. Date format is simply a date format that you want to use. Show PeepSo powered by PeepSo link. If you enable this, you will giving us a backlink on your website at the bottom of your site. So let's open the Drupes page so it doesn't automatically load, and you could already see powered by PeepSo, right? That's the thing that we just enabled over here. And hover cards are the cards displayed when you hover over the username of the people on your website. So let's hover over Mark, for example. Just wait for the entire site to load. And this is the hover card. You see how it show up. You can see the views, the lights of the profiles, and you can visit the profile within the hover card. Now, WordPress toolbar, we disabled that in the previous episode, but you can show it only for administrators. So let's continue with that. And you can enable notifications in it, as well as PeepSo profile navigation. Okay, so let's save those settings. And now when I refresh the page, a new bar will be displayed over here, and it will also show the notifications that we enabled, and it will give me the PeepSo navigation that I can use to navigate through the website. It's the same thing as in the user bar widget, but only displaying over there. I don't like that bar, even for administrator, so I choose it not to display anything there, because simply the site looks much cleaner without it. And it's not hard for me to type WP admin in order to access the admin of my website. Now let's see what are the member listings options. You can sort the members page alphabetically, which is the default. And if you go to members page, all right, all of them will be listed alphabetically. And you can list them by recently online, latest members, most liked, and most followers. You can allow users to hide from listings, so they are not going to be displayed over here by this option. And if you disable this option, actually, let's keep it enabled. Save the settings. Now go to the profile settings, and you will see the option to hide my profile from all user listings, right? If I disable this option now, let's disable it, save the settings, and refresh this page, you see that option has disappeared and it's gone. If you're still seeing the profiles that shouldn't be seen in the lists when this option is enabled, this is simply because you are using the admin account, and admin account is always able to see everything. So if you want to test this feature properly, make sure that you're not using the admin account, and users will be able to hide from user listings when their user listings are viewed by the regular account. When user listing is viewed by the admin account, they can always see everything. All right. Allow guest access to access member listing is actually self-explanatory, and you can allow unregistered users to see the members list and only show members when something is searched. Let's enable this option and see how it works. Let's go to the members page, and it's not displaying anything as long as I'm not start searching for something. So let's search for Alice, and now it's displaying all Alice's on my website, right? So you can keep this option enabled if you want to speed up your website, or if you have a lot of members. I can see this feature being useful when you have a lot of members and you want to save few requests to load the member page, you know, for actually showing only when you search for something. All right, and allow searching user emails is disabled by default because honestly this is a security breach. But if you have the closed network or closed website with only a handful of users, you can enable this option as well. And finally, the last options on this page are regarding registration, and these options are simply controlling what people who are not logged in on our website will see. So in order to test that, we need a new incognito window, then PeepSo5.tv, and here it is. You see this image over there, and get connected, come enjoy our community, this text, join us now, it's free. All of that is controlled through these options. So get connected, come and join our community, join us now, it's free, and this image, it can all be changed in the options over there. Now let's change to accounts and security. And these are the options related to registration, your accounts, and the security of the accounts. So the first option that we have is to completely disable PeepSo registration. If for some reason you want to use the third-party registration or WordPress registration and don't need to have a PeepSo registration flow, you can disable it over here. But I strongly recommend that you go the different route and enable PeepSo registration and disable all other registrations, because it will give you a lot more control over what kind of options you will have. So the first of them is to redirect WordPress registration. So if you have the WordPress registration enabled, when someone tries to register through WordPress, they will automatically be moved to PeepSo registration flow. Repeat email field simply means that during the registration, when user leave their information, one of the required information is the email. We want to repeat the email field so it can be cross-referenced with the original email and eliminate the possibility to mistype the email. Admin account verification, if enabled, when user registers, admin will receive the email. And I already mentioned that I'm hosting this tutorial website on my local host, and I cannot send the email, so unfortunately I cannot show you how this works in practice. But if you enable this option, you will be able to verify every single account before they can start using the website. And force SSL on the registration page is simply going to force the SSL certificate to make sure that connection is secure on your website. But obviously, you first need to have a valid SSL. And if you already have set it up on the server, you don't really need to enable anything here. Activation and redirect options. Okay, so you can skip email verification, which is not recommended. So when user registers on your website, they will be sent an email to verify that they are the owner of this email, and they will need to verify their accounts based on the link that they get in the email. So they will have to first register on your site, receive the email that asks them to confirm the email address. Then they have to click on that link, and only then they will be able to log in. And once they activate the account, you can choose what page to be redirected after activation. So you can create a new page thanking the user for activating their account, and use this option to choose the page where you want them to register, to be redirected after activation, actually. Now, terms and conditions, you have two options for this and how you want it to be displayed. You can write your own terms and condition in this box over here, and it will be displayed as a pop-up window during the registration. Or you can have the entire separate page and choose the page that you want to use as the terms and conditions. And once the user register on your website, they will have an option to choose to read the terms and condition, and then the page will be displayed. Same thing goes for the privacy policy. You can either decide to use to have a privacy policy as text in the pop-up window, or the entire new page. And finally, in advanced settings, you have the option to automatically resend activation and every and maximum option. sooner or later you will have the users that try to register on your website, but they never really verified the email. And this option will automatically resend activation email every 24 hours and maximum 3 times, right? So if users still don't activate or approve or actually verify their email after 3 times and 3 days, basically, this automatic activation resend will stop working for them permanently, because they are obviously do not want to join the website, right? And email domains, you can block selected domains by entering, let's say, for example, gmail.com. And now I'm going to restrict anyone from registering on my website using gmail.com email address. I can say maybe yandex.ru, and everyone with Gmail and yandex.ru will be prevented from creating an account with these emails. All right. Likewise, I can only allow these domains to be used. So if I want to have a school alumni website or something like that, I can do, let's say, harvard.edu, and only people with this email address, so whatever at harvard.edu, will be able to log in or create an account on my website. All right, let's save these settings and start again from the top. Generate usernames automatically. You see that other option has enabled immediately, because I can enable only clean up third-party registration. But if I want to generate usernames automatically, clean up third-party registration needs to be enabled as well. And you can see more about this in a dedicated video that we created for PeepSo 5 settings, because this is the setting that came with PeepSo 5. In short description of it, it basically allows you to register your users without ever asking them for the username, right? So the username will be generated automatically, and you can then even allow username changes for the users when they create their account. I strongly recommend you to watch that video. It will be, once again, linked in the description below. All right. For security, you can enable reCAPTCHA during the registration. And guess what? We also have the complete video how to set up reCAPTCHA, and I will link it in the description below. Okay? Passwords. Minimum password length, by default, it's 10 characters, but you can choose however you want. And password reset delay simply means that if user forgot their password, they can attempt to reset the password, but they cannot spam this option. So you can choose how many seconds needs to pass before they can spam the option to resend the password reset attempt. When it comes to login security, you can check Remember Me option by default, and I like that option really. I use it all the time, so I suggest you to do it as well. That simply means that Remember Me option will be checked by default and user don't have to do it. Require email to login. You can require email to login for administrators, or if you choose everyone will be required to log in with their emails. And login brute force protection. Now there's a lot of options expanded here when you enable this option, and it's even recommended. So you can block login after 3 failed attempts. You can block it for 15 minutes, for example. You can send the email notification to the user warning them about failed login attempts. So if someone is trying to log in to the or trying to gain access to someone's account, you can actually send the email to the actual owner of the account after first block, after second block, you can choose, and then they can either log in or change the password or protect their account further. You can enable additional block after, let's say, 5 login blocks. So if someone was blocked 5 times already, you can block them for additional 24 hours. How this works, if I failed to I failed to log in with my to account after 3 times, and I was blocked for 15 minutes every single time. After 5 blocks, I will be blocked for the entire day, and resetting tries after 24 hours, right? You can whitelist some IPs that will never be blocked, and you can do it here, but that's the advanced feature that we're not going to touch here. All right, security and caching sections should only be touched when you experience the caching issues with the registration page. And like the first thing that comes to my mind is that when you try to log in and you actually kind of logged in, but the page is displaying the login page again, right? You can enable this login nonce check, registration nonce check, and password reset nonce check, and that should prevent the caching from ever interfering with the pages or nonce checks on that particular features, and you should never see that login after login loop happening on your website. And you can allow password preview if you want. Let's save the settings. Now the last thing remaining is force profile completion. And if you enable this option, all of your accounts or user accounts that are not completed, remember that profile completeness that I explained earlier in the video. Force profile completion simply means that they are going to be forced to complete the user profile before using the website. Before we wrap up the video for today, let's come back to the reported items page that I promised that we'll take a look into earlier in the video. And you can access it by going to PeepSo and then Manage. Reported items will be the first page that display, and you can see here all the relevant information by who reported the item, the link to the item itself. If you click, it will open the new page with the reported content, when is reported, and the actions to dismiss the report or unpublish the content itself. Okay, so I can either dismiss it and the reported, what does this say? Let's try it one more time. It has been successfully dismissed. Okay, so this error message that we just shown should be displayed on top of it, and that's the bug we found together. I am going to report that immediately after I finish with this recording. But you could either dismiss or completely unpublish the reported item. So let's do that one more time. Let's report something. Report it. Submit report. Okay, select the reason. Submit report. Come back to the reports. And now I have the option to completely unpublish this content. So let's see it. Someone reported it. This was not so good content. Let's pretend that it's violating our terms of service. We can unpublish that content, and now when we refresh the page, this content is not available at this time because it's unpublished. All right, that's how you manage the reported items from this window. And with that, I would like to stop this video right now because it's already around 1 hour long, or maybe even more, depending on the editing. And there's a lot of information to process. So in the future episodes, we're going to take a look at stream posts, markdown, blog posts, notifications, and whatever we can fit in about 1 hour long video, right? So stay tuned for the next episode next week, and to be informed when that happens, you can press that bell notification icon and subscribe to our channel first before you can do that, right? Don't forget to follow us on social media. We are present there too as well. Links will be in the description below. Until the next video, I wish you all the best with your website. Bye!